So this is a video for those of us who want to grind, but we're pretty much ground out. Hi friends, I'm Anne and welcome to Chronically Beautiful, where we're trying to live our best life, even though we probably don't feel like it.
I woke up yesterday at noon, but like for today.
I just look at these people and I'm like, I am struggling to get out of my pajamas. So this is going to be 6 tips for getting stuff done when you absolutely do not feel like it. I watch these videos and I think, yes, I can so do that. And then I think that for about 2 minutes. And then I realize that getting off the couch is going to be really hard for me today because I'm like in utter pain, or I'm having a depressive episode, or I just don't feel like grinding. This is a video for those of us that want to get things done, sometimes the absolute bare minimum, on those days where we just can't seem to muster it. So if we're feeling ill, we're feeling depressed, tired, down, you just feel like you can't make it through, but you also feel like you cannot live in a big pile of dirt around you anymore, or you absolutely have to go, your kids need you to take them somewhere. These are those bare minimum kind of things. This is how to find it, dig deep and find it in you to get things done when you absolutely really don't feel like it. So if that sounds like something that you're interested in, stick around. But first, don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you're enjoying my content, and leaving a comment, sharing with your friends, and hitting that like button are the best compliments you could give me. And who doesn't love compliments? So without further ado, let's dive right in. My first tip is to expect the battle. I know sometimes we have these moments of motivation where we feel like, I can do this, I'm going to get it done. And then moments later, it's gone. Poof, the wind has just blown right out of our sails. And then we feel like crap because we didn't get anything done. And we really thought we were going to be motivated, or maybe your mind is really motivated that day, but your body says absolutely not, or vice versa. So you know that this is not easy for you, and it's probably not ever going to be super easy for you. So if you start your day, and this might seem kind of negative, but if you start your day expecting the battle, then it's one less thing that you're going to need to worry about later. You know that this is probably not going to go down easy for you. That doesn't mean to stress out about it or feel a huge amount of anxiety, but just expect that this is going to be tough. This is your life. And I say this to my kids, my students all the time. This is your life now. How are you going to deal with this? Are we going to adapt to what our life is and the position, the season, the place that we're in right now, and continue to move forward? Or are we just going to let it happen to us? So expecting that it's going to be tough is the first step in trying to get stuff done when you just can't. It's almost like lowering your expectations a bit for what's going to be coming at you today, or what you can do in a day. It is okay to expect that doing any more than one thing today is going to be hard for you. That's okay. It's okay to expect that if you've got difficult family members coming over, that it's going to suck. It's okay to expect that if you're going to have a procedure done at the doctor's office, that you're not going to be able to do anything after that. It's okay to expect the worst sometimes, because it's going to help you later to kind of deal with it. Having a positive attitude is really, really important, but having a realistic view of what is happening in your world that day, the limitations, the stresses, the illness, the people that you might be facing, having a realistic view is going to allow you to make a plan around that to still be able to accomplish some things in your day. My next tip is using mindfulness, and people all the time are talking about mindfulness. I think it's a beautiful thing. It's almost like meditation light. That's how I like to think of mindfulness. Oh, spit just flew out of my mouth. Did you see that? It landed on my cup, and there it is. Gross. So mindfulness, there are tons of guided meditations out there, or guided mindfulness activities. And I love the idea of this. Meditation is a little overwhelming to me. I feel like it's intimidating, but having just a moment to clear your mind and just try to focus on nothingness is really, really important. And then I like to take that, I get myself into kind of a mindful state, and then I use visualization. Mindfulness and visualization go together really well. Mindfulness kind of allows you to block out all of the negative things that might be going on, all of those difficult things you have prepared yourself for in step one. And then you are able to visualize. So if I need to get the dishes done and that's too much for me today, I am going to take a moment, I'm going to do my best to clear my mind, and I'm going to simply visualize the beauty of an empty, clean sink, something that makes me so happy it's silly. But I feel like having a clean and empty sink helps my whole kitchen to look nice. Even if my whole kitchen is a dump truck, a clean sink at least allows me to have an opportunity to cook, to prepare a meal for myself, for my family, to kind of start fresh, even if it's just that much. So I visualize the thing that I'm dreading doing, that I just don't feel like I have it in me to do. And seeing what it might be when it's done really allows me to think, okay, puts a little gas in the tank to move towards getting that thing done. My next piece of advice is to start small. Now, when you watch these other videos and podcasts about even TikToks, Instagram, everything is all about hustling and doing it all. And everybody says, eat the frog. If you've not heard that term before, eat the frog means to have your list of things that you need to do today and pick the biggest, hardest one on the list and start with that. And that seems like a lovely idea, but eating the frog is not something for everyone. And for me, eating the frog is just not ever possible. I am obviously, dealing with all of the things that go along with depression, chronic illness, anxiety, pain, etc. But I'm also a serious procrastinator. It's something that I'm working on always, but it's something that I have been a procrastinator since I was a kid. I am in my 40s now and I still procrastinate. Eating the frog is just not something that is possible for me 99% of the time. And that's okay. So for me, my piece of advice for someone who's struggling to even brush their teeth, which is the reality, especially for people coping with depression, is to think about what I need to do today and pick the absolute smallest little thing on the list and try to do that. That could be something as small as do the dishes or something as small as sit up in bed, put clothes on, brush my teeth. It could be a minor thing. Maybe you have a million errands to run and it just seems like way too much, but I can go to the corner and put gas in the car. And the reason that I say to start small is because for someone like me, and maybe like you if you're watching this, having small victories and small successes starts to get that ball rolling in a positive way because it feels good to do good. My husband says this all the time to his students and to our kids. It feels good to be good. And if you are someone who struggles with motivation, you probably feel bad a lot of the time about the things that you aren't getting done. And I can sit here all day and say you shouldn't, but we can't help it. I feel like just a complete turd if I'm not getting the things done that I need to get done. And I look at this big list of stuff and the biggest, hardest thing, that's just not possible for me. I need to get the ball rolling. I need to start my engine and idle on something that's easier. So doing the smallest thing on the list first is really helpful. There's a phrase that says pennies make pounds. And the more pennies you save, eventually you'll have pounds, a British monetary, currency. So, and it does, that's how it works. Someone who lost 100 pounds didn't lose 100 pounds on day one. They didn't tackle those 100 pounds. They lost them a pound at a time. And big things get done when small things get done. Maybe your room is such a mess that you can't walk on the floor. And all you need to do on your list today, the first thing you need to do is maybe just get the dishes that are in your room and just move them to the kitchen. You don't even have to wash them. Maybe just pick up the dishes and move them to the kitchen, and that's good. That's good for now. And if that one smallest thing is the only thing you do today, that's okay, because now tomorrow you've got the next smallest thing. You've already done something. You can look back to the thing you did yesterday, feel pride, visualize the next hardest thing being done, and move forward. That's one of my favorite tips and one that I use a lot. The Dale Carnegie's of the world and the 7 Habits of Effective People and all of that probably would not agree with me. The hustlers might not agree, but eating the frog is just a little much for many of us, and that's okay. we'll call this eating a bug. I don't know what if you can think of a name of what to call doing the smallest thing first, comment below. My next tip is to reward yourself. Most of us are motivated by positive things. And I would say first, before I get too deep into this, rewarding yourself by spending money and by eating are two dangerous games. So I would be careful before you try to give yourself rewards in the form of food, especially if you are struggling with your weight or have anything to do with any type of an eating disorder or a health issue revolving around weight. I would not use food as a reward. I would also advise against using spending, shopping, buying as a reward, because those things can get a lot of us into trouble. And especially if we're dealing with depression, we are probably already in trouble with spending money and eating what we shouldn't be eating. So be really careful. Other things that you could do, though, to reward yourself might be, I can watch one episode of my favorite show, or I can read a chapter of my book once I get this done. For me, I've been using a Pomodoro timer, which is 25 minutes of active work time and then 5 minutes of break time. And so I will do a chore during the 25 minutes, and when the timer goes off, I'll allow myself to sit and look at TikTok for the 5 minutes. But then when the alarm goes off, I have to stop, because otherwise I will look at it all day. And if you're like me, you're probably dealing with that same TikTok addiction. So little things like that, where you're kind of setting time limits, you don't need to binge a whole series because you brushed your teeth. Let's not get crazy. Hold yourself accountable, but also reward yourself carefully with things that are meaningful to you. Maybe there's a project you've really been wanting to work on, but you just have felt too guilty to get to do a craft or read your book because there's such a mess in the kitchen. And I feel that way often. I'm a work first, play later kind of gal. And so I do have a really hard time letting myself relax, allowing myself to take breaks until all the work is done, and all the work's never done. So I might say to myself, okay, I am gonna tidy up in the kitchen for 10 minutes, set a timer, and then I'm going to allow myself to look at TikTok for 5, and then I'm going to do it all again. So rewards are a great thing. They work great for kids. They work great for pets. Guess what? They work great for depressed, ill, struggling adults too. Everybody likes getting a reward. My next tip is to reflect. You haven't always been in a situation where every little thing in your world was overwhelming to you. You haven't always been in a situation where you have to be thinking about what is the smallest thing out of 100 things to do. At some point in your life, you have been successful. You have done something that you are proud of. You have completed a task. You have finished something that you started. So in this reflect stage, I just want you to, again, get into a mindful state where you're kind of cleared your mind out of all of the stress and the nonsense, and just visualize a time in your life where you have previously completed a task that was difficult. I know for me, I look at this mountain of stuff that I need to do, and on the days where I'm down and where I'm having a day that I just can't cope with life, it's hard to remember that I have ever done anything big and important and hard, but I have. And so when I allow myself to think back to those times where I have kicked ass at life, it empowers me and reminds me that I am not a useless sack of crap and I can do something. I might not be able to do it as good as I used to before I was sick. I might not be able to do as much as I could do on a day where I'm not feeling a flare-up, but I've done it. And I've done it many times. So to be able to think back to a day where I have completed this very task, or one that's even harder, that allows me to feel like, okay, I've done this before, I can do it again. I can do this because I have done this. I have done this, so I know I can do it again. You have to find ways to empower yourself to get the things done that you need to get done to survive. I'm not talking about building a shed in your backyard. I'm not talking about painting your entire house. I'm talking about getting the dishes out of your room some days. I'm talking about checking those papers that have been on a stack on your desk. I'm talking about filming a video I've really had a hard time getting motivated to do my videos, and I've been doing all of these tips to try to make it happen and get there. And now that I'm in there and the ball is rolling, I feel great. And I'm so proud of myself for doing this. And next time when I'm struggling, I'll be able to think back on today and say, I can do it because I have, and I will again. My final tip is to think about willpower. And we think about other people. We're always seeing other people on Instagram and TikTok and YouTube and all over social media, these wonder people who are living these perfect Pinterest lives and have lost 100 pounds and do all of these things. They have these perfect cleaning regimens that they do all day, every day. They are fantastic teachers, mothers, fathers, workers, all of it. And we look at that and go, well, they just have way more willpower than me. They just have willpower. I don't have any willpower. I'd love to lose some weight, but I don't have any willpower. I can't. That's the thing about willpower. It's not like God just blesses people with willpower and other people he's like, nah, you're good, bro. Move along. None for you. No willpower for you.
Nothing for you.
We all have willpower. Willpower, however, is like a muscle. If you don't use it, it's not going to be there for you. If you don't use it, it's not going to work. And I never really understood the incredible power of muscle atrophy until I broke my arm last summer. I was in a sling for 12 weeks. And at the end of that 12 weeks, when I started physical therapy, I couldn't even get my arm up further than this. Raising my hand was like a major win. I couldn't believe how much pain my muscles were in because they had been in the same position for so long and I hadn't used them. All of our muscles are that way, including our brain, which I know isn't a muscle, but you know what I'm saying. The more we use it, the better it gets. The more you run, the better your respiratory system gets. The more cardio you do, the easier the cardio is. The more you practice an instrument, the better you get at that instrument. Willpower is like anything else. You have to practice. You have to use it, or it will not be there for you. Nobody else has more willpower than you. You started with just as much willpower as your neighbor, as that lady down the street, as that woman at school, as that other mom who always looks perfect, and you're struggling out of the house in your sweatpants overalls like me today. We have just as much willpower as those people do. We just need to practice using it more. And if you can use all the steps before this one and just do a little bit more tomorrow than you did today, or at least just as much, you are starting to grow that skill and improve that skill. Nobody picks up a flute and is a perfect virtuoso flutist within the first day of having the instrument. I'm dealing with this right now and learning the guitar. I'm terrible, but I'm teaching guitar class this year, so I need to get it together, which means I have to practice. I can't fault myself. I can't be mad at the guitar because it's not getting any better. That's on me. I have to practice my skills. So if we want our willpower to be stronger, we have to use our willpower. Maybe you're dealing with weight loss and you can't bear the thought of not eating chips all day, but maybe you don't eat chocolate today. Do everything else, but just use your willpower in the smallest possible way. We don't eat chocolate today. We take our dishes out of the room today and we don't bring any more into the room for the rest of the day. Start small. Find your tiny frog, your baby frog, your froglet, and just do that every day and add a little bit more. Do at least as much as you did yesterday. We're going to continue to grow and build that willpower. And the next thing you know, you're going to be looking at these things on your to-do list and you're not going to feel like eating the frog is too much. You're going to feel like, I'm prepared for this. I have strengthened my willpower so that I can do this. And you can. We all can. And my final thought is that it's really, really important that you do not compare your situation to somebody else's situation. That Pinterest mom down the street might have her mom that's helping with the kids, her husband. She might have money from an inheritance. She may have 14 different income streams that allow her to have a bunch of free time. And she's probably not dealing with chronic illness or clinical depression or tons of pain every minute, or maybe she is. The thing is, we can't compare ourselves to somebody else. We can't do that. Maybe someone like me who's been dealing with this illness for over a decade and I've really learned the ins and outs and I haven't been dealt too many hard hands in the last couple of years. Or maybe you just got diagnosed and you can't even get off the couch. I'm in my chapter 50 and you're in your chapter 1. You can't compare your chapter 1 to somebody else's chapter 50. It's really, really important that you just focus on your journey, your needs, and your plan for moving forward in what is now your life. Because this is your life. And it doesn't mean that you can't live it to the absolute best of your ability. It just means you have to live it a little bit differently than maybe you used to. I hope this video has made a difference for you today. I know it's so, so hard to be in a situation where you can't get the things done that you want to, and that it's really, really hard on your house, your home, your family, your life. But most of all, it's hard on you and your confidence, your self-esteem, and just your emotional well-being. So I really hope that even one of these tips helped you a little bit today, because I would want that kind of help, because I know I wanted that kind of help when I was first diagnosed and really, really struggling. Thank you so much for going on this adventure with me today. I am so glad you're here. If you enjoyed the video, again, shoot me a thumbs up. I would love to hear any tips that you have about productivity when you don't feel like it in the comments down below. Thank you so much. Keep coming back. Take care of you. And remember, you deserve to live your best life. Bye. So this is the grind for those of us that are done ground. Let's dive right in. Awkward. What am I struggling with so much? Hi, it's my first day. I've never talked on a camera before.